My name is Rory. One of the important things about Reentry for me is how I landed to this position in my life to begin with. I was a 12-year Army veteran with 2 tours of combat in Iraq. I came home really damaged and to a very unsupportive environment. And I crossed a lot of barriers trying to find validation in myself. Those barriers wound up putting me in prison. And when for a 12-year prison sentence, I knew coming out of prison I would need something very, very similar in structure that I had in prison. And a reentry program that is worth it is definitely going to provide that structure. And that's where the Journey Project comes in. So employment, I kind of hit the ground running. One of the things that was beneficial was, again, the connection to those with shared experience. You know who's going to hire a felon? A felon. And as far as education, my education goals were set when I was incarcerated towards the business degree. And that's something that's very, very obtainable out here. Hinged on my crime. And long-term housing becomes that obstacle. Everything else, employment, getting along in life, even DOC, it's all manageable. But it's hard to do all that when you don't have a firm base camp. For me, there's a ton of missteps, ton of mistakes, and we'd be foolish to think that there wouldn't be. I think, honestly, the best advice I would give is be able to forgive yourself, be able to put the pieces back together when you do make those mistakes, and have a purpose, have a focus, have a goal, stay with your goals, and that will lead you to where you need to be in all the ways you need to be there. One of the biggest reasons I made it to prison is because I found no worth in myself. I found no sense of purpose, no sense of hope. And all of that changed because of my incarceration. For me, I like to think that I'm a people person. Building networks, building connections, building bonds. That's huge in being successful post-release, because nobody can walk this path on their own. It takes a village. I did. About 3 years before release, I created a 5-year goal plan that I had submitted to the parole board. And then I followed up with them every year to make sure they knew where I was at in accomplishing those goals. And that came into another document of my actual release plan, which I followed really, really well so far. And it's kept me on path. One of the big things about my reentry is you don't know what you don't know. And that's probably one of the biggest obstacles, is discovering information after it might have been useful. And I think if there could be more done on the pre-release side of saying, hey, have you ever thought about X, Y, and Z? And then having people go, oh, you know what? That's a good point. I should think about that. I should think about where those resources are. I should think about what the next step beyond that particular piece is. And I think that would be a huge asset. So for me, I knew a year before I was getting out where I wanted to go and where I felt like I was going to have the best chance. And that was with the Journey Project. And I petitioned or sent a letter a year prior and told them what I was about. And but I was a self-advocate, and that was something, again, I made it to prison because I wasn't a self-advocate. And it's been hugely beneficial to have the Journey Project provide this temporary stepping stone into the next phase of my life. You know, when it comes to challenges, I guess it's in how you frame them. because I don't know that I necessarily have major challenges. Transportation, you get used to taking the bus. When it comes to where do I eat, there's tons of resources. You gotta get out and look and find that. And there's just too many ways to get around the obstacles that they don't necessarily exist. Well, my typical day is I live kind of in my sleep structure the way I had in prison. Down at 10 o'clock at night, up at 5 in the morning, and I work. And I do the things that I'm supposed to do, attend programming as required, and meet with my CCO, meet with my boss, meet with their bosses, and I do normal things, and life is really normal. The biggest component for that support are those that share this exact experience. People that have been convicted of crimes that are socially very, very unfavorable. Because society is not going to give me the biggest chance in the world, but my friends, they know me, and that helps. As a veteran, the Veterans Affairs, Washington Department of Veterans Affairs, all these King County Vet Center, they all have these amazing assets to tap into. And that's a benefit for me specifically. I did take therapy when I was incarcerated, and being mindful, being able to breathe, being able to focus, self-care, all of the things that the average Joe probably just takes for granted or overlooks completely, has been the thing that saves my mind and puts me in the headspace that I need to be successful. My primary goal as I re-enter into society is certainly maintaining long-term income, stable income, and then moving into stable housing outside of a transition home. The unexpected challenges that came to me were along the lines of required programming, because there's a lot of fear that comes with failure. What happens if I don't do the things that they want me to do because circumstance has challenged that in some way? Part of the fix for that is to seek help. Talk to DOC, talk to my case management with our program. Hey, here's a problem I have. How do I help solve this? There is entirely too much pushback on people releasing from prison. There needs to be an open space. I'm not saying everybody's got to be thrilled about it, but when somebody does their time, they certainly have to be forgiven by society to some degree, that they can effectively put their life back together. I'm only out 90 days, and I've been on the House floor of legislature for the 2024 legislative session by invite. I would like to think that I'm doing the things that need to be done, because I know the challenges that I was facing, and I plan to prepare for all that. And now I hope to do the same with others, for others. I have purpose now. That's what I didn't have when I came home from Iraq and was able to cross all these awful barriers. I have purpose, I have worth, I have a place to be, and I know who I am. Be humble. It made me really be humble. And I think one of the things about the justice system, again, you don't know what you don't know. And I didn't know what kind of things would happen, or the bureaucracy that would come with the criminal legal system. And now I can be a voice or an advocate to help change that. But yeah, it's the criminal legal system was a very daunting thing to maneuver. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself, forgive yourself for the things that you've done, and certainly work very, very diligently so as to not repeat them. Again, being in the Reentry game prior to release, I had great connections with people in the Reentry field, both inside prison and out. And being able to reach out to folks like the Journey Project a year out, knowing that this was a safe place to land, was really a big contribution. So being able to tell somebody, hey, it's okay, just work your resources the way you know how. Financial security is a huge thing, because I think even if the housing issue becomes troublesome, being financially secure, I can just buy my way out of a rental. And I think that would be a huge step. But financial security, a year from now, being able to invest and have something for my retirement, because I'm certainly not getting any younger. I think the biggest thing was the first step out of prison. Where do I go to be safe and have a roof over my head so I can do the rest of the things in my life that need to be done? Good transition home. That's critical. And that's one of the things I'm deeply grateful for the Journey Project for. Reentry is the ability to embrace the challenge of life beyond prison. Because prison can damage you, and moving beyond that trauma is something that effective reentry can do.